Do you feel the winds of winter as they lick across the land? This is the power of the Wintertodt. We know not what it is, nor where it came, only that it wields the power of winter itself. How's it going, everybody? I'm Lewis, and we've got a new update from the old-school RuneScape team. This is for the Wintertodt. By now you should know the story about the Wintertodt. 1,000 years ago it laid siege to Great Koren, and a famous smith from the Loverkenge house created the Doors of Din. This has kept the Wintertodt at bay for over 1,000 years, with help from the Order of the Sacred Flame. They keep the beast at bay, so it can't just go through the Doors of Din and lay siege to Great Koren again. If you want to help the Order of the Sacred Flame keep the Wintertodt at bay, then first of all you got to get there. You can go either north of Great Koren or use the new teleport on the game's necklace. When you're there, you get to talk to Ignizia, who, after a little bit of chat, will take you through the Doors of Din into the Wintertodt prison. In the Wintertodt prison, there are a variety of activities which we'll have a quick look at in a second. These are for your agility levels, your crafting levels, farming, fletching, firemaking, herb lore, and smithing levels. When you're doing these tasks and you're inside of the prison, make sure you keep very warm clothing on to make sure you prevent as much damage happening to you as possible. And please bear in mind that the Wintertodd's prison is a dangerous area in RuneScape. If you die, it's like a regular death when you're fighting against NPCs. Your items will be at risk, and you've got to be careful. Let's have a quick look at some of the tasks. First of all, we've got the woodcutting task, and this is for bruma roots. Bruma is a type of tree that burns quite well, and it can grow in extremely cold areas, which means it's perfect for the Wintertodd's prison. To help the Order of the Sacred Flame, you can chop down bruma roots found in the prison and use them to keep the fires and the braziers going. As well as that, you can also cut the logs down into kindling to help with the fires even more. The rejuvenation potions are the tasks for herb lore. The Pyromancers actually fire flames down towards the Wintertodt constantly, and whether or not a Pyromancer is injured, hungry, whatever, they have to remain at their post, blasting this fire at the Wintertodt. Creating rejuvenation potions will help the Pyromancers continue doing this job, because when you give them the potion, it will heal them. To create these potions, you're going to have to pick bruma herbs sprouting from the walls of the prison, and combine them with a concoction found within the supply crates near the entrance of the prison. Obviously, when you're doing this entire little minigame, you're going to earn quite a lot of experience in all the skills that you get to use. If you do well enough, you'll even have a chance of receiving some unique rewards from the Wintertodt. As discussed in at least a developer blog or two before this, you're going to get a few rewards from the Pyromancers, and the unique rewards are the Tomb of Fire, the Pyromancer outfit, and the Bruma Torch. So first of all, let's take a look at the Tomb of Fire. Like the God Books, it's equipped in the shield slot. It will provide a +8 magic attack and defense, as well as a 50% damage increase to any elemental fire spells on the standard spellbook. As well as that, the Tomb of Fire provides an unlimited source of fire runes, similar to the way a fire staff does. Requiring level 50 magic to equip, this will truly be a very useful item, especially for higher levels on the standard spellbook. The Tomb of Fire requires being charged, and you do this by using burnt pages on them, which are received from the Wintertodt. One burnt page gives 20 charges on the Tomb of Fire, and one charge is consumed whenever an elemental fire spell is cast with the tomb equipped. When all the charges are consumed from the Tomb of Fire, it's going to no longer give you the infinite source of fire runes. The next reward is the Pyromancer outfit. Similar to the way a Prospector outfit, Lumberjack outfit, and other XP outfits work, this will provide you a small increase to your firemaking experience, with the Pyromancer hat giving you a 0.4% bonus increase, the Pyromancer top giving you a 0.8% bonus increase, the Pyromancer legs giving you a 0.6% bonus increase, and the Pyromancer boots giving you a 0.2% bonus increase, with wearing the full set giving you an extra 0.5% bonus increase, which means your total XP increase will be 2.5% if you're wearing the full set. As well as that, they've introduced some cosmetic Pyromancer gloves, just because they were looking at the outfit and thinking, this needs gloves, and obviously if you're in a cold area, you're going to want to have a pair of gloves. The final reward from the Wintertodt is the Bruma Torch. The Bruma Torch is an inextinguishable, equipable light source, requiring level 50 firemaking to equip, which will be incredibly useful. However, I am somewhat worried that the firemaking skill gate perk is being lessened by this item. Either way, I think this whole Wintertodt will be awesome, and I think if you're interested in going and fighting the Wintertodt, make sure you get to North Great Krend as quickly as possible. Next this week, we've got a few bug fixes and quality of life updates. First of all, the PvP improvements. There's been a couple of issues with PvP in recent times, and they just wanted to actually remove and address some of these issues. First of all, tick eating. Before, if your opponent was on very low hit points, when your damage was calculated, but they ate just before the damage was dealt, you'd never actually hit high enough to kill them, which to me is a serious bug that's been in this game for way too long. This meant that if you were to actually time eating food at the correct moment, then you'll never actually die. They've now fixed this in PvP, and even if the player is on very low hit points, when your damage is calculated, you'll still be able to hit above the amount when the damage is dealt. However, they're not going to be changing this for PvM combat. I suppose because if you're fighting against other players, you actually want to kill the other one. And in PvM, you don't want to die as much, and it's not as good for the economy and such if you do die. As well as this change, they've also disabled energy transfer in single combat PvP areas. Next, a few changes to Last Man Standing. Players will now receive a bloody key if their opponent logs out. Lisa will now call out the number of players needed to start a competitive game. The spawn locations for loot crates have now been randomised. Only 48 players are needed to start a game rather than 60. Prayer potions have been increased in price and rune packs have been lowered in price. And the stepping stones to the island have been replaced with a path, which is rather interesting because they were keeping those stepping stones for quite a while. I think the stepping stone is quite a nice mechanic in theory, but in practice it doesn't work out as well as you'd expect. Next, we've got the Last Man Standing High Stakes Weekend, and it's going to be happening this weekend. It's the first ever high stakes weekend for Last Man Standing. From Friday 5 PM British time until Monday 10 AM British time, you'll be able to participate in a 1 million buy-in Last Man Standing event, which means if you win, you could potentially get 15 million coins as a reward, which is insane. Hopefully people that are into competitive Last Man Standing will go into this, and it could have some interesting streams developed. Finally, we've got the other news, and we've got the bug fixes. Players can now claim free HUDs for their skill capes by talking to the skill cape seller. Charter ship stores now have separate stock from each port. Players can now pay Lazim 1 million coins to upgrade a Camulet to have infinite charges. Teleporting with a Camulet will now tell you how many charges are left on it. An NPC who will crush items for a small fee has been added in Nardar. The Tsar Gem Shop now has a separate stock for Iron Men and non-Iron Men. Ancient Shards now have a larger click zone to make them easier to pick up. The Emerald Lens can now be swapped out from Emerald Lanterns by replacing it with a plain lens or a sapphire lens. Spy Shakers can now appear above ashes when dropped so that they're easier to pick up. Botanical Pies have been removed from the Master Clue drop table, and other items have had a slightly higher chance of being obtained because of this. The main reason for this was, the reason to make Botanical Pies wasn't there because a lot of them would come in from Master Clues. And the Barbarian Rod will now appear above fish parts when dropped so it's easier to pick up. They fixed the stretching issue with the Supreme Leader haircut on female characters. They fixed an issue where the thermonuclear smoke devil would reappear briefly after dying. They fixed an issue where the right-click option on temple tracking NPCs would not work in some situations. They adjusted the statistics on some fun weapons to ensure that all of the fun weapons are consistent. They've clarified the description of the Desert Hard task for enabling ancient magics, and they've fixed a spelling error in dialogue with Dunstan. So this is a fairly big update this week, and I actually was caught off guard by it. The Wintertodt is the first skilling boss we've had in old school RuneScape. That will be very interesting to see, and as someone who associates with a skiller, then I think I'm going to try it out soon. I suppose the thing that might be standing in my way is Zaya Favour if it's required, which they haven't mentioned here, so I'm not going to assume anything. If you want to discuss any of these updates this week, please go on the forums or do so in my comments below. Please click here if you want to watch my video on the latest old school RuneScape developer blog for Deadman Mode Season 3. And if you're interested in what's happening this month in old school RuneScape, please click here for the month ahead post for September. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and share, and if you want to keep up to date with the old school RuneScape updates, dev blogs and polls, please subscribe. I've been Lewis, thanks for watching, goodbye.